Buenos días, buenos días. Un poco de sabor latino para nuestro Sitecore User Group Latam. Bienvenidos a todos, estaremos empezando en breve. ¿Cómo está esa mañana? ¿Cómo están sus ánimos? Vamos a darle. Buenos días and good morning. Tenemos nuestra primera sesión. Bienvenidos a todos. Nuestra primera sesión del Sitecore User Group Latam, SUG Latam. Es un agrado, es un placer y una grandiosa oportunidad para nosotros de poder hacer esto, este grupo, esta comunidad que queremos hacer. Nuestro objetivo principal es realmente compartir conocimiento, conectarnos entre todos los expertos, los que no son tan expertos, los entusiastas de Sitecore y extender la comunidad en Latinoamérica. Sabemos que existen muchos developers que están activos en la comunidad, así es que queremos utilizar este espacio para un poco unirnos, un poco conectarnos. Lo que nos gusta decir es: lo que aprendo, lo comparto. And for all my English viewers, we're gonna say the same thing. This time, this session is gonna be in English, I think. What I was saying about SUG Latam, Sitecore User Group Latam, is, this exists to share knowledge, to connect all the enthusiasts and experts of Sitecore, and basically extend the community all around Latin America. We like to say, what I learn, I share it. So welcome everybody. Welcome BGR, welcome Freddy, welcome Miguel, welcome Álvaro. It's so nice to have you guys here. And today we have a special guest with us. Her name is Hetal Dave. She is an architect at Brendale with over 15 years of experience in enterprise CMS and commerce solutions. She has worked on projects on platforms like Sitecore, Optimizely, Microsoft Commerce Server, uCommerce, MediaChase, Inside Commerce, and Sitecore Commerce. She has been a Sitecore MVP for the last 5 years in a row. Fantastic, since 2017. And she's going to be talking with us today about Content Hub CMP. Welcome, Hetal.
Thank you. Thank you, Vlad.
Hey.
Good morning and nice to meet you all. I hope that you get something out of this session. As Vlad just said, when I learn something, I like to share it with community, thinking that it might help. Things that I had to figure out, if I share that with community, maybe it will be more efficient for somebody else to work on uh, some things that I had to figure out myself and had to have quite a brainstorming about it.
Right, right. Like decrease the learning curve,
Yeah,
decrease it and make everyone more able and more capable of overcoming these problems and these, troubleshootings that take a lot of time. They're going to
right.
be taking less time now.
Yep.
So we thank you very much for being here and we welcome you. The stage is all yours.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you so much. So, I recently worked on a Content Hub project, especially with CMP module, which is also known as a content marketing platform, not to confuse it with content management platform. That's Sitecore, that's CMS, content management system. CMP stands for content marketing platform, and that's where the difference starts. Now, many of us have Sitecore baggage for better or for worse when we come to Content Hub journey. We have the concept on how we used to create or even design for templates in Sitecore. So when I was working on this project, basically they have uh, a Sitecore site. They already have a Sitecore CMS implementation, and now they wanted to migrate some of the stuff, the data that they were showing on their website, into a central repository. And I'll come to it. Why is it necessary? Like, what do we mean by central repository? But that's
Okay.
what they wanted to do. So we had to start by looking at the Sitecore pages or the pages that they currently have on their website and start breaking them down and understand what exactly is a good candidate to migrate to CMP, to Content Hub. And
Right.
that's where I felt that some of the documentation, or these are the kind of things that you only learn when you have to actually deal with them. No amount of documentation would help you. Um, you can review documentation for CMS, you can review documentation for CMP, but the connecting point on how you actually connect these two systems, how that vision looks like, that is something I had to figure out. And that's what I thought would benefit for many people like me who are um, starting their journey in Content Hub, and maybe most likely in my situation, that there is an already existing data architecture that now you have to break apart and transform into a CMP data architecture. And that's where my journey began. So the main whenever we start working with a platform, the main challenge is to get the foot in the door, as I say. Once you figure out what's your first step, second step just comes naturally. And plenty of time, having that first step defined uh, helps, big deal. And that's what I'm sharing today. So with that, let me start by first thing first. What's the difference between Sitecore CMS architecture and CMP data modeling? Now, many of us know that when we are working on a Sitecore CMS project, we are given a design. You have a page designed in front of you, whether it's a home page or any inner page, or let's just say about us page or events page or careers page for a website that you are working on. And based on the design of the page, you identify repeating components that are commonly present on all pages, typically being top navigation, footer, etc. So you identify those global components, and then you break apart that design of that page into, you have something at the top, something at the bottom, and something in the center. And whatever you have in the center, you then figure out how it can be divided into multiple blocks based on the design, not necessarily the entity that is presented in the design. So based on how the HTML markup needs to be laid out, you figure out that, okay, this is going to be an accordion block. This is going to be a content card block. This is going to be a image carousel, that sort of thing. But all these names sort of describe the presentation of that component. Accordion. Accordion is basically the UX functionality that when you click on a down arrow or side arrow, all the content within that block would collapse down or collapse back up. So the component names even that we come up with, 2-column sublayouts, 3-column sublayouts, they mainly show or they mainly represent the presentation aspect of the site. But what CMP pushes us to do is, okay, you have a page. What exactly is represented on that page? For example, let's say career details page, right? So you have a job posting, and that job posting is displayed on a page. So what is displayed on that page is a job posting. Now, what that job posting would have, that job posting is an actually entity. That entity has job title, uh, job description, maybe date of start or expected date of start, and some more detail like who to report to and who to email for that particular job posting if there are different people that you are supposed to reach out. So when you are looking at a job posting page, forget about top navigation and extra blocks and some sidebar type of blocks, but the entity that is represented on that page is the job posting. Similarly, take a hotel chain. If you are looking at Marriott New York, you are looking at a hotel entity that is tied to a location entity. And that's what CMP data modeling is: separating presentation from data. That is something CMP data modeling warrants. And that's the basic difference between Sitecore CMS architecture and CMP data modeling. Now, what do we exactly mean by separation of data and presentation and how they come together? So as I just described, what data is represented on a page, or what entity it represents, what information it displays for the end user, that's data. And how it is showed, whether it's a black font, red font, it's a dark theme, light theme, whether it's 3 columns or cards in 2 columns, or it's a single hero banner, that's presentation. What is the data and how is the presentation? And when when these two come together, connected by any business logic that needs to go around it, plus any presentation logic needs to be used to show that, that's our full web page or brochure or email, whatever we want to call it. And the third part is business entities and relations. So just to give you an example, the relationship between hotel and location does not need to be, may or may not need to be made into within the CMP platform itself, or maybe it needs to be based on the purpose that we want to use it. But the first thing is identifying the business entity, whether it's a job posting, whether it's a hotel, whether it's a location, because a hotel would have amenities, type of rooms the hotel has, uh, bookings, if you want to make any bookings, what are the special um, activities available at the hotel, like spa or indoor outdoor swimming pool, etc. So any details about that hotel, including hotel's address or hotel's location, is part of the hotel entity. And the location would then have a different aspect to it. For example, a location would have address, location would have weather, location would have places to visit, location would have things to do, and all this becomes part of the location entity. But when these two entities join, uh, we get to see that how my vacation in New York is going to look like while I stay at Marriott. So that creates an entire experience, but the groundwork is done when we are doing the data architecture. And then another piece of that groundwork is done by the UX team when they design that experience, how it needs to be showcased to the end user or to the consumer. And it comes together with however that information is presented to the consumer. As I said, it could be a campaign sort of email. Someone like me or you can receive an email, visit New York and stay with us, coming from Marriott Hotel. And you will, when you click on that link, it takes you to the same page with the similar information showing um, some of the detailed information that you probably saw in your email at a high level. So all this entire experience being consistent is the key why Content Hub and why CMP. Basically, Content Hub, Sitecore Content Hub provides a central repository of data, not presentation. Don't mix. See, a presentation, we left presentation behind in CMS. In CMP, we are simply going to design the fields like what the hotel is going to have, what the location is going to have, how a booking is going to look like, and that sort of thing. And then we can decide whether we want to establish those relationships within the CMP, or we want to establish those relationships when we get to CMS or whichever system we are uh, using, or exporting our system, or whichever systems are actually consuming the information, the data that stays in CMP. Doing that, what happens that your data becomes consistent no matter where you are presenting your data, whether it's your website, whether it's your brochure, whether it's your email campaign, whether it's your print media advertisement. The information that is displayed comes from one place. So when it's created in one place and distributed across channels. And when it's updated across channels. That means the information that you are showing to your users is consistent, and that makes your brand's representation stronger because the message is same no matter what channel you are on.
This is an
So
awesome thing. Sorry to interrupt, but
mhm,
this is a great showcase of Sitecore CMP, right? To like have keep it multi-channel and
mhm,
going in the same road to having this all modular, right?
yep, yep,
Awesome.
yep. So we could still, like, whenever we start working on a CMP project, we could still potentially start from a page design, because maybe the outer world around us is still not caught up to the actual or acute separation between data and presentation, and that's fine. As engineers, as architects, it's our job to work through necessary data normalization and identify the real life business entities displayed or represented by the design, and then extract any data that is related to that entity and move it into CMP. Um, Name of the hotel typically may be used as a heading on a web page, but it's the name of the hotel that's not going to change. The location name of the hotel is not going to change. So identifying the data fields, as if you were designing a SQL database like good old days, where we used to do SQL server SQL database designing, um, and establish relationship, and we used to do those relationship diagrams. So it's like a little bit going back to those days and going through the data normalization process, identifying your data entity, and then creating your those data entities as content types in your CMP implementation. Now, what's the difference between CMP templates versus CMP content types? That's a great segue. CMS templates, you would see that you have browser title, page name, show in navigation, dark theme, light theme. Now the last three fields that I mentioned, show in navigation, that's not data. That's related to presentation, whether I want to show this particular page as a link in navigation or not. When I'm designing global navigation or top menu, again, all these can be maintained and managed in CMP. But if we look at the initial separation between data and presentation, links that are going to be, or components that are going to be dynamically generated using some pieces of data can become part of CMS templates. If we want to show or hide certain components on a page, or if we want to personalize certain components, that is going to be on the CMS side. And show in navigation, use dark theme, use light theme. Those are the kind of fields that we will see on CMS templates, but not on CMP content types. Now, when we are creating CMP content types, how we make sure that whatever fields we have on the CMP content type also end up on the CMS template. Using Sitecore's CMP connector for Sitecore's connector for Sitecore Content Hub, you can establish and configure mappings between CMP content types and CMP templates. So the CMS templates can have fields, all the fields that are on a CMP content type, but then it can also have additional fields that may or may not be mapped to a CMP content type, but that are little specific to presentation or some other aspects of website, and that's totally fine. That is supported. So that's the basic difference between Sitecore CMS templates and CMP content types. Another key difference between the two is in CMS template, you can have a base template. So for example, if you have browser title name used on all the templates, all the page level templates, you would think that maybe I should create a base template and then use that base template as in my page template. In CMP, there is no concept of inheritance. You cannot identify common fields and create like a base content type and then create new content type to inherit from those content types so that those fields will be available. So that is very important to understand, that there is no concept of base template or base inheritance in CMP.
Oh, so this changes a little bit, like the
Yep,
way that we uh, conceptualize in our minds, in our
yep,
heads. Like
yep.
we used to think that templates we could reuse some fields, right?
Hmm.
In the way that some items are going to share the
Hmm.
same, let's say, title or description or
Yep.
image. But in this case, we're talking about in CMP, it's like an entity itself
Hmm.
that contains its own custom content types, and
Yep.
it cannot be inherited.
Exactly.
Okay, this is a very important one. I'll have that
Yep.
in mind.
Yep. And more importantly, also to know that when you are designing a page, when you are creating a page template, not necessarily you will create a page, a content type for a page. You are going to create a content type for the entity, the real life entity that is presented on that page. So do not confuse a CMP content type with a page template. CMP content type is not a page. CMP content type is an entity that is displayed on a page, and page lives in CMS, entity lives in CMP. It's very critical to understand that. And once you get that in your DNA, then your CMP data architecture will become breezy, easy. So please understand the difference between what a page template is and what is an entity.
Yeah,
In and that's how Sitecore also describes it. In CMS, everything is an item. In Content Hub, everything is an entity. It is something more real, more solid, more real life.
yeah, more close to reality.
That is represented in data. It's data. It's not a page. What you have in CMP is entity. What you have in CMS could be a page, could be a block, could be a layout, could be a sub layout. So it's very critical to understand that difference. Another difference between CMS and CMP is how content is organized, right? Um, Starting from our Windows PCs or Windows laptops, we are used to, through Sitecore CMS, we are used to see the folder structure style browsing experience. In Windows laptops or our machines, we can browse to a Windows Explorer, click on a folder, double click on a folder, see other folders inside that folder, and that same experience we have with Sitecore CMS. That you click on the plus icon, you can create a content tree, and your content tree can pretty much mimic how your sitemap looks like, right? Your top navigation looks like. So basically, your website and your CMS content tree mostly would mirror each other, not in CMP. In CMP, one, you don't have folders. There are no folders. You only have a search interface, and you have facets and filters that you can organize your content in. For example, if you are working on job postings, so you have created a content type of job posting or career detail or however you want to name it. And then you have news release, you have event, you have a hotel entity, you have a location entity. All these content types that you would create will automatically become facet. So when you go to Content Hub, the first page you would start from is search. So when you click on the search page, however many content types you have defined, you will automatically see those content types on the left panel as available facets. So if you only want to see job postings, you can check that checkbox like you usually do on a website. If you just want to see shirts, or if you just want to see men's shoes, you click that checkbox and then you only see men's shoes. Same experience is in Sitecore Content Hub. If you only want to see a certain type of content based on a content type, you just select that content type and you see only job postings, or you see only hotel entities. So very important to understand that there are no folders in Sitecore Content Hub. It's only search interface that you can organize by the creating content type, and even excuse me, even defining taxonomy. Now, what is
No
taxonomy?
folders. Okay.
No folders.
No folders. We are
Yep.
so clear in that one. No folders. Remember, guys, no folders in Content Hub.
Yep.
All right.
And that's why, like, going back to think of CMP data architecture as a SQL database. There are no folders in database, only tables. And you have to
Yes.
curate queries when you want to look for your data or look for certain entities. If you want to look for products, you just go to products table. Similarly, when you are in Content Hub, if you want to see job postings, then select the checkbox that says that just show me job postings. So it forces us to think that Content Hub is entities, and Sitecore CMS or any CMS systems that you are working with are the presentation, and that's where you can organize your content in a folder structure, or however that particular system supports data or content organization. Now, what is taxonomy? Taxonomy is also another critical aspect for CMP and for content marketing. Remember, CMP is content marketing platform. The marketing is very important for CMP, as stated in CMP. Content management system is that is something that allows you to manage your content. CMP is when you design your data for the marketing purpose. So for marketing, you need strong taxonomy. So it's very important to identify what those taxonomies are. And then you can actually use taxonomies to organize your data further. For example, you have architects' job postings, right? Either you can have the job title, or you can have departments. Like, let's say let's take a company like Wandel or a consultant company, right? We have let's say we have different departments. Every consultant company has a IT support department, and then we have an engineering department, right? So in IT support, we need there are architect roles. In engineering also there are architect roles, but both those architect roles are different. So even though the job posting might say architect, we can still distinguish them by providing a tag or taxonomy, what department this job posting belongs to. And remember, there are no folders. So taxonomy is the way to go. And then you can even use the taxonomy or extend the taxonomy that you are defining to your CMS system or consuming system so that it can be further used in the search experience of your website when somebody is browsing careers on your website. So understanding the taxonomy with regards to content organization for CMP is also very critical. Any questions so far?
Okay, I don't know if you guys have any questions. Remember that you always can throw all your questions down in the chat. Please let us know if you have any questions. We will have also, just to remember everyone, a little Q&A section at the end, so that we can respond all the questions that the audience might have. I'm sure they are all figuring out all the questions for you, Hetal.
Cool. So in a nutshell, first thing first, CMS and CMP are not the same. How you organize data in CMP is not how you organize content in CMS. CMP is data, CMS is content. I know they are interchangeably terms, but understand that data is just data and content is something that is bound to a certain style of presentation that is going to be shown to your end users. In CMP, you can preview, but that preview is just like you would be looking at a content item in Sitecore. There is no design aspect to it. You are simply looking at the data. And then you can have your teams review that data and publish it through the state flows, as they call it in CMP. And once the item or content entity reaches its final state, the CMP connector, if you are using CMP connector, will pick it up and sync that data with Sitecore. Another critical thing to keep in mind is in terms of data organization. Let's say you have a intro block and you have a image block. They all may look like they have same field. Why can't I just create one content type and just jam all my fields into that one content type and be done with it? The reason why you should not do that, because when you are syncing your content from CMP into Sitecore, it will create a designated bucket for each content type. So if you want to have better organization of your content blocks or your data in CMP, even if you have different even if you have same fields but the context of the block is different, I would recommend just create a different separate content type. That way you will automatically have a separate bucket, and it will be easier for content authors to then use those content data that is coming from CMP into their CMS pages or CMS blocks. And I know all this seems very high level, but when you actually get to work on a CMP project, you would realize that some of the things that I have shared today will be very, very, very helpful to you. And the one thing I cannot emphasize enough is CMS or Sitecore CMS is presentation, CMP is data. So please print that on your mind, that CMP represents a real life entity. Identify that entity and you are a winner. Because then how that entity is represented is not your problem. That is job of UX designs. And if you are lucky enough to do the Sitecore data architecture as well, you will see the difference in your own thinking, that how you are thinking when that same data comes to a page template versus how you are thinking when you are designing that data just as an entity. That's all I had for today. So any questions? And again, no questions is silly. So please
Right.
feel free to ask me any question. If you are shy, asking any question, feel free to DM me on Slack or on LinkedIn, and I'll be more than happy to help you out any which way I can.
That's a nice segue to what I was about to ask you. So we are loving the way that you explain things. So we wanted to ask you, do you have a blog where you have all your content? Where can we follow you?
You can follow me on LinkedIn. Um, I am not as active on Twitter anymore. I do check my Twitter every now and then, but I'm not posting as much on Twitter. I'm
Right.
kind of keeping my professional stuff on LinkedIn, and I can be reached on Slack because of my role. I do have a blog, but it hasn't been updated for a very long time
I see. I
because I
see.
have been sharing all my knowledge through user groups
Oh,
since the
right. Right.
lockdown.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Okay,
as
doke.
but I'm always available. So if you feel like any piece of information you need wasn't present in this session, feel free to ask me questions. I'm
Yeah.
always checking Sitecore community Slack. I'm always checking Stack Overflow
Right.
and LinkedIn. So
So we
you
can find
you
you in
can reach out to me.
Slack and in all the Slack, LinkedIn. We
Yep.
can find you with your name, right? Hetal
Yep.
Dave.
Yep.
All right, awesome. I think we have a question from our audience.
Hmm.
This comes from Arun Sharma. It says, "Is CMP hold the real data or the structure?" Okay, that's a nice question.
CMP holds the data architecture or entity type, entity definition, as well as the actual entities that you will curate based on the content type. So if you think of concept of Sitecore, that I created a template, now based on that template I want to create items, that same concept extends to CMP, but when you are doing that in CMP, you are actually creating a content entity, not a
Entity.
content item.
Yeah. Remember, guys, entity. CMP, Sitecore Content Hub CMP holds entities, and that's the concept
Yep.
that Hetal has really emphasized. There's
Mhm.
another one coming from Ramiro Batalla. Says, "Did you find any limitations with CMP?"
Yes and no. Yes, because
Okay.
CMP has an HTML data type that you can use, but that HTML is strictly to be used only for very abstract HTML. If you try to get into too much presentation type, it's time to draw a line and take it take it further into CMS. Plus, there are no links. So, like we are used to have general link fields inside core, multi-list fields, multi-select fields inside core CMS. None of those fields are available. The data type that are available in CMP are pretty basic. You have single line, you have multi-line, and you have HTML. That's it. There is no WYSIWYG editor
Oh,
like the one way we are used to, and that is a sort of indication that you are here for data, not for design. If you want to do
right,
design, go
right.
to CMS.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
limitations are there, but for a reason.
Right, right. I have a question also. Um,
Hmm.
so I was thinking all this time about the term publication, like publish. You know
Hmm.
how we in Sitecore used
Yep.
to get all the things from the master database to the web database. That's called
Hmm.
publication. Is the publication term right in the Sitecore Content Hub CMP context? Does it mean something?
So finish your question. Finish your sentence. You were saying something.
Yeah. Does it mean? Does it really matter? Like the publication?
It does. Um, Now, first thing first, there is no master database and web database in CMP. CMP is pretty much your workplace, and when an item reaches the final state, unlike Sitecore, you see in Sitecore it's published. That's the final state. It's published. In CMP, the final state is ready to publish. That means all the work for this particular entity, for this particular content entity is complete and it's ready to be consumed by
Oh,
external systems, by
by all the
channels.
channels that are waiting for it.
Exactly. So the
Right.
final state in CMP is ready to publish. So I'm ready to go. If you want to use me for an email campaign, I'm ready. brochure, I'm ready. If you want to sync content into your Sitecore CMS system or any other CMS system, it's ready to be published.
Okay, that clarifies a lot.
Yep.
Well, we have another question coming from Mariela Pancho. She says,
Mhm.
how do we consume data from CMP and integrate with Sitecore XM Cloud to create a website?
That is something, unfortunately, I haven't explored yet, so I'm not expert. But I'm sure if you post that question to the Content Hub channel or to the Sitecore XM Cloud channel, you would get plenty of responses. Hypothetically, I would like to think that the Sitecore connector for Content Hub can be installed in XM Cloud and you can use it, but I'm not 100% sure. So I would not, rather giving you a wrong information, I would point you where you can get the right information. So I would say the right place to ask that question is XM Cloud channel in Sitecore Slack or the Sitecore Content Hub channel in Sitecore Slack.
Okie doke. So which integrations have you tried?
I have worked with Sitecore CMS integration.
Whoops. Seems we have a small technical issue right now. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry to have this little issue right now, but let me just see what happened. Probably there was something wrong with the connection or something. Just a minute. We're going back. Don't worry, guys. We're coming back. Okay. Don't worry. We're coming back. And I think... Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I don't know what happened. We lost you for a second there, but yeah, you were saying.
I was saying that I have worked on typical integrations with Sitecore XM or Sitecore XP so far. And Sitecore connector for Content Hub is something that I have worked with. I have not worked on a project where the content was consumed by XM Cloud.
Okay. So it needs like a connector, right? I understand.
Yes, because see, Sitecore Content Hub and any system, any CMS system that you want to sync your data into needs to have some sort of connector, and that connector would actually provide you mappings, configurations on how you want to sync the content, etc., and all that is handled in that connector.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
We have another question coming from Jonathan Guerra. Says, do we have something similar like analytics on CMP?
No.
That's gonna be in another module.
If you want that sort of thing, then you are looking at a possible integration of Sitecore CDP.
Sitecore CDP.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But as I mentioned, being critical for taxonomy, typically the project that I was working on, there were SEO teams involved. So you work with SEO people to identify if there are any pieces of taxonomy that they would like to have, so that whenever that entity is consumed by external channels, they can leverage that information to optimize the content for better SEO.
Right. Now that you mentioned, SEO is a really important aspect when we are talking marketing, because you need to have the right content to be seen in all the search machines, search engines. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, guys, if you have any other questions, be sure to put them in the chat. I think we have a couple more minutes. If you have any questions you want to share, and or else, you can always follow Hetal.
And as I said,
Slack,
I wish you all the best whenever you start your CMP project or Sitecore Content Hub journey. Smallest question, and you feel like you don't want to open a Sitecore support ticket, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always eager to help, because while helping you, I even get to learn something new. So I always look forward to opportunities of helping the community.
Thank you so much, Hetal. Thank you so much. I think we have learned a little bit about Sitecore Content Hub CMP. I think we have all the basics and the strength to start our projects. Let me just ask you one last question we have from the community. Luis Ferribas says, do we have new AI tools or ideas that can be integrated in CMP?
None of that I am aware of, because it's AI is still pretty new, so I don't know how Sitecore is catching up on that. So I have not much information on that.
Maybe you can put into ChatGPT or any AI, like, write me 700 words for a content or something like that, right?
You can, but then you also have to be careful that you are not plagiarizing. And again, that's not our job, right? We are engineers and architects. We don't care what content people puts in.
Let that to the content editors.
Exactly. But there is a limited integration when it comes to AI in the search interface, that it keeps on learning on how people search in Content Hub itself to provide better experience when it comes to autocomplete or auto-suggested keywords, etc. So there is limited integration, or I would say role, that AI plays, but I don't know if it is as integrated as something like ChatGPT yet.
Yeah, there might be in the future. We will be attentive to what Sitecore has to offer to us.
Yep.
Well, I think this was a great session. Thank you so much, Hetal, one more time. It's a real pleasure to have you here and to learn from all the information that you had to show us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And guys, remember, you can follow Hetal on LinkedIn and Sitecore Slack with her name, Hetal Dave. We will be posting this in the comments or in the description of the video once it's uploaded. And thank you so much to everyone that has been joining us. This has been our first session in the SUG Latam, Sitecore User Group Latam. Probably the next sessions will be in Spanish or also in English, but be sure to always be sure to subscribe. Oh, well, we have a visitor right here. Hi baby. So be sure to subscribe, to hit the bell, comment on our videos, and follow us. We will be having more content, and well, we wish you a nice day. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.
Si hay rumba no quiero más nada. Yo lo que vine fue a pasarla bien. ¿Cuál es el plan? Que yo me activo. Dime que lo que tú quieres conmigo. Que suene el dembow, bien agresivo. Pero te advierto que dejé el corazón en la casa. No es la primera vez que esto me pasa. A ti tú lo has visto muchas veces. Por más que disimule ya lo sé. Se te nota que quieres de mi boca. Cuidado que si te toca no va a querer parar. Se te nota que estás pasado de copas. Cuidado que te equivocas y no te dejo probar.
Lo que tú me digas, Obi. Pero esta noche yo no ando lonely. Ando con el moda Toby. De pasajero que yo conduzco, comiéndome un vasito maluco. Mándame el pin de tu corazón que yo lo busco. Se le nota, mamazota. Como lo mueve esa muchachota. Menea que se empalaga, sacude que se empelota. Y es que yo lo sé, bebé, se me nota que quiero de tu boca. Si es que tú me provocas y me pones a temblar. Se te nota que bailando te alocas. Yo sé que te sofoca mi manera de perrear.
Stop ahí, no te pases de la raya. Tranquilito si no quieres que me vaya. Te me puedes pegar, pero te advierto que dejé el corazón en la casa. No es la primera vez que esto me pasa. A ti tú lo has visto muchas veces. Por más que disimule ya lo sé. Se te nota